Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Shawn Mackey Show. He's so unpredictable. Mother Nature calls him for advice. Someone better come get this man. Hey, all right, everybody. Welcome to this season 2 bonus episode before we begin season 3. Now, some craziness. I told you I'm focusing on the video. Last week's episode is going to come out on the YouTube on the March 2nd. So this bonus episode is going to come out sometime a little bit after that, and then we're going to hit season 3. And I was going to focus on the Chicago Cubs because it's baseball season, right? We got a lot of things going on in Cubdom. But I think there's going to be a lot of Bears stuff to continue to focus on during their off season. And I didn't focus a lot on the Cubs when we got into the Bears. The Bears started getting me excited. They started, getting into that playoff caliber football. So maybe this show, we're going to keep it the Shawn Mackey Show, opinionated, unedited, unpredictable. Whoo-hoo, what it is what it is, right? But we're just maybe going to be the Cubs-Bears breakdown, something of that nature. I don't know, running some titles around through my brain. But I wanted to get you with this bonus episode. So I'm going to get you my final thoughts on my greatest Chicago Bears, the top 20, with some little cheating thrown in here or there, I guess, so to speak. I mean, what else you can say? And you can figure that out toward the end of this list today. So I want to get into that. And then I want to touch briefly a little bit about this Indiana Bears, Hammond Bears drama saga, what's going on, whatever you want to call it. Right now, it's got me all in a tizzy. And I hate being in a tizzy. So let's get started with my top 10, the top 10, number 10 through number 1 of the guys I feel in my lifetime are my top 20 Chicago Bears of all time. All right. And I'm going to hit you with my number 10 is Devin Hester. All right. That's my guy. We gotta talk about Devin Hester. This guy, I mean, the kickoff in the Super Bowl to open the Super Bowl, which I don't think has ever been done before. I know it wasn't at that point. I don't think it's been done since. The guy had a crap ton of returns. He played some defense. He played some offense. He was originally drafted by the Chicago Bears as a cornerback. He made an impact, of course, we know, on kick returns and punt returns. And he finally gets inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2024 after being a finalist in 22 and 23. So I go with number 10, Devin Hester. Number 9 for me is a guy played with Devin Hester, Peanut Charles Tillman. I mean, and this guy, the peanut punch. Right. And I still, as a football player today, I was never a ball carrier, but we didn't think we could punch the ball out because a lot of times, I mean, we'd think you were fighting a guy. So when we'd come back and hit you and then there'd be a brawl or a fight, but now you're out there playing and guys are just swooping in and legit punching you, like punching at that ball. And that's no easy feat. You're coming at a guy, he's coming at you, or you're coming from the side, you're running full speed. You got to have your eyes locked in on where that ball is. We know ball carriers, that ball kind of moves up and down, and you kind of got to get that time just right to get that peanut punch. And he was the greatest at it. Absolutely a major beast. Peanut Charles Tillman. Most forced fumbles in a season in 2012 with 10. Most forced fumbles in a game with 4. He has, over his career, 44 forced fumbles, 11 recoveries, 140 pass deflections, 38 interceptions, 9 defensive touchdowns. He retires from football and he goes on to become an FBI agent. Now, I do believe I read recently that he kind of stepped down from the FBI. We're not going to get into why or my thoughts or opinions on that. We're trying to keep this show lighthearted and related to sports. And getting into that and the politics of it will not allow us to do that. So kudos to the Shawn Mackey Show for taking the high road right there. All right. Coming in at number 8, 2 dudes. I told you I was cheating a little bit. 2 dudes, Wilber Marshall, Otis Wilson. Without those 2 guys, Mike Singletary isn't the linebacker that we all know that he was, that we've come to love. Remember, my guy, Mike Singletary at number 11. 2 guys, Wilber Marshall, Otis Wilson, absolute beasts and force in that 4-6 Buddy Ryan defense. They had Mike Singletary's back. They anchored that Chicago Bear 4-6 defense. And without these 2 dudes, I don't know if that defense is as good as it is. Yes, it's named after Doug Plank. Yes, it's named after a guy who played safety. And a safety in that defense is a big integral role. But these 2 beasts, holy crap. Otis Wilson's role in that defense was the main blitzer, kind of like the enforcer. He was the primary blitzing linebacker in that defense. And he was a feared pass rusher. In 1985, he recorded 10.5 sacks, second on the team, and often quarterbacks making mistakes because they see him coming, right? Known for the aggressive style, those 2 dudes, I think they called them the junkyard dogs, right? An intimidating force right there playing linebacker for the Chicago Bears. Wilber Marshall, this is a guy, he's the guy I always wish I could be. When I played linebacker in high school, I kind of was that guy. When we'd play street ball and I'd try to play some safety, this guy, Wilber, was that freelancing guy, that disruptor. He was really smart, right, in that defense. And he helped contribute to the Bears having 64 sacks in that 85 season. And he hit you. He was smart, could get to the ball. Boom. Famous for that 52-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown in the NFC Championship game. Boop, boop. Number 8, 2 dudes, Otis Wilson and Wilber Marshall. Now, by now, you can see where the show's going. I mean, yes, it's a lot of 85 Bears. It's a lot of the Super Bowl 41 Bears. You know, I'm talking some of the greatest players I've ever witnessed happen to be on the 2 teams, 1-1, that I've been able to witness Super Bowls in my lifetime. And with that being said, that brings me down to number 7 on my guy, the punky QB, Jim McMahon. Why? Mainly because he was a no bullshit, no nonsense kind of quarterback. Always had those shades on because, you know, he poked himself in the eye with a fork when he was a kid, or maybe his sister did. I don't know. I had a sister that tried to kill me. Whoop, stabbed at me with a steak knife after I had slipped and fell on the kitchen floor. Woo, I rolled out of the way. It stuck in the ground and linoleum. Oh, shit, she's crazy. I don't remember the story exactly, but he's the only quarterback to lead us to Super Bowl victory. Jim McMahon, the punky QB. This guy came out of Brigham Young University. He was born in New Jersey, moved out to California, played his first 2 years at a high school in California, moved to Roy, Utah, and played his final 2 seasons as a high school player in Utah, went to Brigham Young University, and I guess like for 2 years he was a punter. I mean, I think there were a couple of times the Bears would come out and they'd just have him in shotgun and everything, 4th down, like they're going for it, bring everybody up. And I think I've seen him kick, but the dude was a punter for 2 years. I mean, I didn't even know that. And then apparently he was the quarterback behind Mark Wilson, right? But then Mark Wilson gets injured in third game of the season in 1978. Jim McMahon takes over Colorado State. Mark Wilson leaves. Jim McMahon, starting quarterback. He did suffer a knee injury in 78, but Wilson graduates. He's on to the NFL with the Oakland Raiders. Jim McMahon takes over. We know he gets drafted by the Chicago Bears, rolls up, I think, to his first ever. It might not have been his first ever. He might have did it every year. So the famous photo, he's out there, got a big cooler in his hand with a couple of cases of, I think it's Budweiser or Bud Light or something, as he's strolling into training camp. You know, the punky QB. He moons the commissioner's helicopter, I think it was. They told him don't wear headbands with logos. So then he wears one with Roselle on it. And we know the Minnesota game. Bears are losing. McMahon's coming off injury, comes into that game, leads him to a crazy comeback. 17-1 on that season or something like that through the playoffs, like the 16 games. I don't remember exactly. I should, but I'm old and I don't keep the number stats in my brain as much as I should. Just because me and math, we fight. We don't get along. You know, it's like Peanut Tillman coming and punching, and I'm thinking it's math, and I'm going to just start, you know. So number 7, the punky QB, Jim McMahon. All right. Now I'm coming in at number 6. I got to check my list. My guy, the all-time sack leader for the Chicago Bears, Richard Dent. I think he leads the Bears with, he's the sack leader, like 124 sacks. I'm not exactly sure where he is on the all-time list, but we know he was a Super Bowl MVP with the Chicago Bears. You know, 2-time Super Bowl champion. We know one with the Chicago Bears. Who did he play with when he was won his second one? 49ers and the Chargers. Yeah, so he was on the 49ers when they beat the Chargers. All right, okay. I like it. 1995. So coming in at number 6 I just had the sidebar over there. I'm looking at the screen and then you guys are all like, what? He's not paying attention to us. Please pay attention to us. And that's why as we move forward into season 3, I think there's some things I can do. Maybe get a second camera angle in here. So, and that would be like so fierce because look, I prepared for the show. I put all my notes together on the computer. I don't sit at the desk, even though I pulled back a little bit. I wanted to have a desk where I'm looking like the Late Show or, Johnny Carson, but I can't get the camera angles right. So you can't see my desk. I promise I'm sitting here behind the desk. So I'll lift up my keyboard on camera there. I mean, it's just sitting right there. So, I don't know. But if I get another camera angle sitting over the monitor that I check to, then I can look at my monitor and then still be on that camera and I can play with some video angles and get this YouTube thing going out there for you. Whoa! All right, I'm starting to get crazy. Will someone please reboot him? He's glitching again. All right. So that's my guy, number 6, Richard Dent. Number 5, I'm going with another Hall of Famer here. The guy on the billboards as you're driving up the highways in the Chicagoland area, because when he was playing, he was fully bald. Now he's got a head of hair. What? Brian Urlacher, or is it Urlacher? It's always been the thing. Is it sound like locker or backer? I think I heard him once say it's Urlacher sounds like linebacker. A safety in college. Didn't know that this guy was going to be the guy that he was when the Bears drafted him. Like, okay, who's this skinny safety coming out of, where did he come from? Like something like San Jose State University or something. Let me see where he went. Where did he go to college? Oh, University of New Mexico. Okay, not San Jose State. Somewhere down in that general area. University of New Mexico. Played safety there. He was playing in a 3-3-5 defensive scheme. But he had that je ne sais quoi, you say. I don't know. He had that talent. It's like, this is a safety who plays like a linebacker, and he's probably big enough, just needed to put on some pounds as a linebacker. He goes on to be another one of the beloved Chicago Bear linebackers. I never mentioned Dick Butkus because I told you I wanted to talk to you about people I seen and witnessed play. play live, and I think I might have been a wee little lad toward the tail end of Butkus's career, but I don't remember seeing him play live, just in NFL films and stuff like that. So I wanted to get you the guys I've seen, but this is Butkus, Singletary, and Urlacher in the middle. Urlacher. Oh, I keep doing it. I'm going to do it either way. You're going to be like, this guy, he's either one way or one way the other, one way or the other. Who knows where he's at? All right. So Brian Urlacher, the linebacker, another beloved number 3 in the middle, from Butkus to Singletary to number 54. My guy coming in at number 5, Brian Urlacher. Okay. Now here's where I'm cheating again. Okay. Number 4 is 2 dudes. The guys anchor in the middle of that 4-6 defensive front. Dan Hampton and Steve McMichael. 2 dudes that I believe are the greatest tandem to play side by side during an entire era. And this is what I'm saying to you now. I just read an article just last week that Dennis Allen may be looking at not needing that edge rusher. You got Sweat. You got Booker. Okay? You need the big beast in the middle who can collapse the line of scrimmage and essentially collapse pockets. You need the beast that every offensive line says, we know we're going to need 2 dudes, maybe 3, to take care of these 2 guys up front, because one of them's going to take care of 2 people on his own. You put a guy like that in a gap all the time. You line another person up either a little bit outside, tackle, guard, center. Who do we take? I don't know who we take. You leave him one-on-one, he's getting to the quarterback. You double team him, his buddy's getting the quarterback. And that's who Dan Hampton and Steve McMichael were. They were 2 big-ass beasts in the middle who allowed Richard Dent, Otis Wilson, Wilbur Marshall, Mike Singletary to put extreme pressure on quarterbacks and collapse entire pockets. Mistakes were made. At the end of every game, whoever the Bears played in 1985, and coaches sat down in their meeting, I'm pretty sure one of them was like, Coach, mistakes were made. Yeah, there were mistakes. You didn't know who to block, and them beasts up front tore your heads off. That's what I'm saying. The Bears need right now is that big old beast in the middle. Maybe 2 of them. And that'll solve the edge problem. All right? So that's my guy, Dan Hampton. My 2 guys, Dan Hampton and Steve McMichael, coming in. Oh, what did I have them at? Number 4. Now, this is where I'm throwing you for a loop. Number 3, all-time greatest Chicago Bears. I never said they had to be players. So I'm going with Buddy Ryan. Yes, that guy develops that 4-6 defense that was just a menace throughout that season. And yeah, say to yourself, roll your eyes. Here's another Chicago Bears fan who's talking about the past. Well, yeah, I'm talking about a bunch of guys that retired. Nobody on my list is still playing, right? That's kind of the point. I'm giving you my insights. Buddy Ryan develops the 4-6. He leaves, becomes a head coach elsewhere, and that defense on the Bears is never the same. And it takes years before it gets to be back to being a decent defense. It takes years till you get the likes of Peanut Tillman, Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs. For a while, those are your 3 guys, the mainstays that had, when that defense was good from that era, Super Bowl 41, those were your mainstays, So, but that defense, the 46 defense, it had every position was wrapped up solid. There was maybe one weak link, I mean, do we remember what like dude like Tyrone Keys and the backup defensive ends did during that season? Not so much. Not unless we're watching a game and be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." Right? So, it was dent on that side, but you're talking that defense was solid with 9 out of 11 guys easy. 10 out of 11. More than likely. And if the other guy that we don't know who his name was on the opposite side at defensive end of Richard Dent was containing the outside for linebackers to do their job for losses and tackles for losses, who cares if we know his name? That means that defense was solid 11 out of 11 guys. So that's why I'm going with Buddy Ryan with the 4-6 vaulted defense. Okay? We'll throw the graphic up there again for you a little bit just so you can see how it was. And the way it lines up and stacks up, you're like you're putting 8 in the box. You don't know who's going where. You don't know who has which responsibility. So your safety out here, your strong safety, can kind of chip off the tight end and make sure he doesn't get out for quick passes. Then you could blitz this guy here because now you got a linebacker to pick up here in this coverage on man. You got your corners out here. And they're covering man free, maybe. They're like, okay, we're going to bump up here on man, but then we might back off a little bit because we know everybody's coming. So we got to look for the quick passes. And if you guys up front, 8 men in the box, your 4 down linemen, your 3 linebackers, 1 safety are faster than the offense can adjust. That's why Buddy Ryan blew my mind with that defense. Love it to death. Now I'm going to throw in at number 2 there. That's what I was just talking about. Everybody else on that, every other member of that roster, coaches, trainers, background players, special teams players, everybody on the 1985 Bears winning that Super Bowl. Yes. The rest of those dudes come in at number 2 for me and my top 20 Chicago Bears. I'm not going to talk about number 1 that much because I don't need to. The name I'm going to tell you speaks for itself. Number 1, the best Chicago Bear I ever seen to play the game is number 34, Walter Payton. When you got an award in the NFL named after you, the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, and you're picking your top guy who's like the best on and off the field and it shows everything he needs to show, that's all I got to say. Coming in at number 1 on my top 20 Chicago Bears, Walter Payton. All right, now I want to talk a little bit briefly about this whole stadium thing seeming to it didn't come out of left field. I mean, we knew they were looking at Hammond or somewhere in Indiana. We had the Arlington Heights possibility. Now, I really hope at this point that Kevin Warren is really just trying to put the screws to Illinois. And not that I want the screws to be put to Illinois, but we've heard a couple of sides of this story now. The last thing come Thursday, I think it was the 19th, all of a sudden it's like Indiana passes their Senate Bill 27 through. I don't have all the details on it. I'm still ironing it out, but it sounds like they're giving the Bears a sweetheart of a deal. Build them a big-ass dome, some tax exempt, whatever. But first, I'm a believer that all these NFL and Major League Baseball, NBA teams, owners, they've got the money. They absolutely should be footing the bill. Now, I get it and I understand that these stadiums and these franchises bring in millions and millions of dollars into the cities in which they are associated with or where they play. And then there's a whole bunch of other things that go on, TV money and revenue sharing and this, that, and the other. But let's just put it this way. It's a shit ton of money. And the Bears basically, they lease Soldier Field. Their lease can be broken as early as this year. It goes through 2033. If they pay $84 million in penalties, they can break that lease at any point with the Chicago Park District. Soldier Field was renovated in 2003. And I think the city of Chicago still owes the Park District or owes banks. I think they owes banks. They just owe money, like $586 million still on that renovation. The Bears only pay about $6.48 million a year to lease Soldier Field. That breaks down 8 games, not including playoffs and preseason. That breaks down to about $800,000 a week in rent that the Bears have to pay the Chicago Park District. Excuse me. Soldier Field holds roughly 62,000 people. If you Google the average cost of a ticket 2026, it's going to be on the low end of $300 to $500 with box seats and personal seats and club level and whatever they got going on, a lot higher. Just say you're going to have one game where you charge everybody. I mean, season ticket holders are probably already paid for their tickets. I don't know exactly what they pay per ticket. So there's a little bit to the math. And I told you I'm not a math guy, so I just did the basic. If the average cost on the low end is $300 per ticket at 61,500 people that Soldier Field holds, that's like $18 million a week just in ticket sales alone. I don't know what's all involved in that and that end of it. Maybe a listener or a fan who's checking in and hears this and might want to give me some constructive learning about what that is. But that's a lot of money. And so these owners try to get these cities to pay for everything. And that's what it sounds like to me. Indiana's basically done is going to be like, we're going to build this for you. Just move. And that's great. And everybody out there can say, well, you know, the Jets and the Giants play in New Jersey. They play in the Meadowlands. And then, you know, the Dallas Cowboys actually play in Arlington. Okay, did they foot some of the cost for those stadiums? I don't know. Didn't really care. They're not my teams. And I get that. But I think if you've got a state willing to pay for and give you everything by passing a bill to lure you away from Chicago, I just have a strange feeling that somewhere down the line, they're going to want to say, look, you gotta commit to Indiana fully. And that's where I'm torn. I don't do that. If they become the Hammond Bears or the Indiana Bears or something like that, it's like, are they still my team? I don't know. I honestly, I grew up in Chicago. I'm very proud to be from Chicago. I don't live there anymore. I don't visit as much as I should. I don't like visiting up there. Things have changed in many, many years, but I'm proud to be from there. And I'm proud to have been a Chicago Bears fan. I could say 57 years because that's how long I've been alive. But if you take off the 5 before I remember anything, we'll just go with 52. So you hear from Governor Pritzker, and he said they had some kind of a deal really kind of ready to go. And Kevin Warren was like, well, don't push it through. Don't push the bill through yet because we want to tweak some language in there. And then he didn't show up to a meeting. And then the next thing you know, this Indiana thing pops out. And people are pissed. People are like, I'm Bears through and through for life. Look, I got a buddy. And we'll talk about this because it's the same guy that I'm bringing on the show for season 3 who's going to be one of my baseball analysts because he's a Cardinals fan and I'm a Cubs fan. And we're going to have that that back and forth. But he was a Rams fan. And now he boycotts. Kind of leans toward the Chiefs maybe a little bit more, or just as a football fan in general now, but he's pissed still at the Rams owner for moving him out of St. Louis and back to Los Angeles. And he tells me all the time, if I see that fucker on the street, I'm going to punch him in the face. No, he doesn't say that. Oh my God. But it's one of those things. That's how you feel. And that's exactly how I would feel. From what I understand, George McCaskey and the Bears are pissed off at Kevin Warren. Maybe Kevin Warren's playing Indiana for a fool. And maybe he's hoping Pritzker and Illinois is going to bend and give them whatever they want, whether it's Lakefront or Arlington Heights. I don't know. Somebody bought land. The Bears did. Why would you spend that much money on land? Although, you know, now you got the land, you could probably sell it later, if not. Or I guess right now it's just wait and see for me here at the Shawn Mackey Show. if they move and they remain the Chicago Bears and they just happen to play in Indiana like all the other teams in the NFL out there. See, I'm using my head to point to the different areas on a map. Just think that there's a big map right behind me here, and they're out there on the West Coast, over down there in Dallas, over there in Jersey. If they stay the Chicago Bears, I might be okay with it. If they become the Indiana Bears, the Hammond Bears, the Gary Bears, the Gummy Bears, I don't know. I just don't think I'll be able to put up with it. So that's all the time I got for you folks for this bonus episode. Gonna pop in some graphics up there. Hope you're kind of digging the new look for the Shawn Mackey show. Still gonna be doing some tweaking. I'm gonna let you in on this though. For this episode, that was probably the last time that you heard that intro. Think we're gonna pop out a new intro geared towards season 3 and the Chicago Cubs. That first episode, we may do a little bit of Bears talk depending on the developments of this stadium deal. But I want to get into the guys they signed: Phil Maton, Chase McCormick, Dylan Carlson, the roles that they may or not going to play. Cabrera, the trade for Cabrera, getting rid of Owen Casey. The outlook for the season. We're going to get it. Bregman. Ooh, I almost forgot to mention Bregman. We're going to get into that. And then we're going to spend the rest of the season talking to you about each game, giving you our honest opinions on how we feel about the outcomes of those games or anything of that nature. Remember, I'm just here for entertainment purposes. You could like it, you could not like it. You could watch it all the time, go, this guy's fucking idiot. And I'm going to say, you're right, I am fucking idiot. What? Seriously, though, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell button so you get notifications for a new episode. Check out our shorts. But most of all, subscribe. Share. Throw on a comment or two. But be nice, because I don't tolerate bullies. Especially you keyboard warriors. Because I'll come get you. Peace. I'll see you in the streets. Hey, if I made you laugh, made you think, or even made you smile, please tell all your friends. If I didn't, just keep that shit to yourself. Thanks for listening to The Shawn Mackey Show.